Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you're doing, where you're at, what you want to do, things like that.
So a couple years ago, when I started my design journey, I decided to take this course in the UK called Shillington. I think they have
Yep,
in
yep, yep. I know. I'm very
yeah,
familiar with Shillington. Yep.
yeah. So I took that course a couple years ago, around during COVID times. So then I was just like doing internships after that. It was really, really good. Um, and just like random internships here and there, a bit of like freelance work as well. And then I got a full-time job at a talent agency, um, which is really good. But just being the only designer there, you kind of learn in a different way, I guess. Especially if like
Yes,
you're new in the design industry and stuff. So it's definitely like
totally.
so good, like learning from other people online. So yeah, that's like what I'm currently at. I'm I've been there for like 2 years now, so I'm hoping um to find another job, hopefully in like the branding industry, which is why I've sort of rebranded my whole portfolio. Um, yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
Gotcha. Okay. So you are at a job that you've been at for 2 years, you said?
Yeah, 2 years.
And now you're getting ready to kind of like get on the horse and start applying to
Mm,
jobs and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. And I hear and I know what you mean because like when you're the only designer at a place, you're not really learning, you're just doing. And there's not really you don't feel like you're actually getting anything out of it. And that's really tough too.
Yeah, exactly. It feels um like I understand when like my peers give me feedback and stuff, but it's sometimes they don't really, because they're not designers themselves, it's not really like I'm not really learning anything from it. It's just what they think they like, sort of thing.
Sure. Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. So what would be super like what would you like out of this review? You know, like how would you like me to look at this? How would you like me to critique your work? Um, would you like to talk about like how you're applying, if you're having luck with that? You know, like give me a little bit more information here so I know how we can kind of tackle this.
Yeah, of course. So I've actually got my portfolio as a PDF. I've kind of finished it, which I've been applying with it. It's not my website. I kind of want to understand if my portfolio is what recruiters or senior designers would want to see, sort of thing, or like just your general thoughts, what you think of it, um, if it needs improvements, certain projects. I've got quite a few projects on it. Um, just
You
like
want
your
to pull up your
general thoughts.
PDF? Do you want to pull it up?
Yes, yes, I can do that.
Very cool. All right.
So I'll just go through it. So these are all the projects that I've sort of managed to do so far.
Mhm.
Um, this is actually my design, my Etsy shop. I've redesigned the whole thing. Um, and I've sort of added like these bits, but I don't know if it's too long. So let me know if it's too long because there is a lot of writing in it.
Mhm.
So this is the primary logo, and then I go in to do the variations. It's an Etsy store, so I wanted to add like little stickers, um, and these are the fonts that I chose. That was, if I was to build a website for this Etsy shop, these are the fonts that I would use for it. I just made these Instagram posts just to give people an idea of what it would look like. I wouldn't necessarily use it. It's just the portfolio.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
And then I went on to do brand guidelines for the whole brand, and I just showcased it like this.
Sure.
because I don't want it to be super long. And that's the end of that bit. And then this is actually what I did at Shillington. I really liked it, but I don't know if I should include it or not because it's got nothing to do with like branding. I basically created these out of paper and turned it into the book cover
Very cool.
for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is one of my favorite books. And I sort of just included my process here. It's such a shame I don't really have photos, so I've just added numbers. And then
Sure.
this is a very new project, which is called Oka. It's a decadent chocolate bar branding packaging. This is like the final packaging. I don't want to keep it too long, but I've basically just added the die line and talked about the flavor a little bit, and like a bit about the packaging. So I wanted it to be like quite high end. So even the flavors that I chose, they're very different. So this is mango and saffron, and then this is strawberry and mint, and sweet orange and cardamom. And yeah, I quite like them, but I've not showed it to anyone. So it's literally just me looking at it. And this is a project that I did at work, actually. This is a girl band that they are managing because like their social media and stuff. And I created this pitch deck for them to send out to clients and brands. And I wanted it to be tailored more to their personality. They're very like, they're very like their style is very different, and I wanted it to be showcased through the pitch deck.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all right. I didn't realize.
Hold on
I
one
was just
second.
talking.
Where'd my sound go?
I can hear you, all right?
Thank you so much.
Jeez, 1 second. My God, my laptop is freaking out. 1 second. I need to connect to my audio, please. Why are you doing this, computer? Why?
Sorry, I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
I'm muted.
Yeah, now I can hear
Okay.
you.
My computer is just bugging out right now. Sorry about that. I'm not in the
It's so
office
fine.
and the Wi-Fi is not the best here. But anyway, we'll make this work.
Oh, okay.
Um, so you were just finishing off the rest. So was that chocolate bar the last of it, or what happened? You have more projects.
No,
Okay.
yeah. So I've got one more. So this one I did at work for this girl band in the UK, and their style is very different. So I wanted to showcase that through this pitch deck. The purpose of this pitch deck is to send out to clients to get them brand deals. And this is the style that I went with. I feel like it suits them a lot, like it's quite their personality, just from going through their social media. And on their social media, they also use these symbols like the moon, the sun, and the star to represent each one of them. So yeah, that is the end of my portfolio. I'd love to know any thoughts.
things. One, I think you have a great sense of layout. You have a great sense of design. And you don't have to worry about taking notes or anything like that.
Okay, fine.
Um, how are you? So have you applied to jobs already? Like have you heard back? Like where are you at with this?
So I've applied to maybe like 5, including like recruiters and stuff, maybe a little bit more. But I've not heard back. But this has probably been maybe 2-3 weeks that I've applied so
Mhm.
far. One has rejected me. Um, but I've not heard back from the rest. It's quite a competitive market in the UK. I don't know if it's any different in America or anywhere else.
No, it's usually, yeah. I mean, it's I think right now in general, the creative market is pretty tight. But
Mm,
that's always the case. A couple of things that I think you can do to tighten this up a bit.
mhm,
At the very beginning, I think instead of like a table of contents. So first, I think one, we're missing a little bit of background on you, right? I want to know, I want to have like a profile page, all right? I want to know what experience you have, what roles you've had, you know, any education, whatever it may be. I want that on like
mhm,
a page here. That's like usually a thing that I like to recommend because um imagine like you sending this to me and I just kind of like scroll through and I'm like, okay, cool. They put a thing of contents. It's not really telling me anything about you. I'm going to look at a bunch
mhm,
of fancy work. It all looks good in design, but I'm not getting much of you. I'm not getting much of your experience. I'm not getting much of your personality in that sense, right? Sure, this
mhm,
design, you have it, like I said, you have a great sense of design. You have a great sense of layout, and you've tailored this and designed it very well.
mhm.
But at the same time, like because it's a competitive market, we need to kind of start to put together those pieces that you know, that like speak to why you should be a better candidate than next, right? So that comes down
Okay.
to the past roles that you've had, the responsibilities, things like that. So that's, I think,
Mhm,
a page that might be missing at the beginning here. The next thing I would do is while while the Etsy shop is like a brand identity and you know that's great, that is like a passion project. That is
yeah.
that is like one of your that's the thing that you enjoy working on, right?
Mhm,
And I think it's going to be more helpful in terms of like how we structure and order these projects. I want to put more client focused work up
mhm,
front, and I want to have
mhm.
more work that speaks to actually a workplace environment than the passion projects because
Okay.
I want to know again, like coming from the place of a candidate, right? I'm hiring someone and I want to know that like they need to be able to handle a couple of responsibilities and I don't really need to like baby them all the time. And again, like while the passion project, the identity you did for your Etsy store is lovely,
Mhm.
it doesn't, it's like you know, it's made up in a sense. You have full control. You could do whatever you want, right? And
Yeah.
so you could
There's no
do
brief.
however, whatever. But there's no structure that's going to tell me as someone who needs to hire someone that you can follow these guidelines and take instruction and do things like that, right? And so I would approach it from that perspective of like what projects can we adjust and organize and prioritize to show
Mhm.
that experience. And then from there, um, you know, I think like 4 projects is fine. Maybe that passion project, that brand identity is like towards the end, right? Maybe that's like the kicker,
Okay.
and maybe that's like the surprise.
Okay.
Um, I think what is the work that you currently do at your role now? What is some of the stuff that I
So
mean, and it seems like all of this stuff that you've put in here is separate from that.
yeah. So the only thing is that last pitch deck that I created for the girl group, that's the only one that I did at work. Because a lot of the work that I do is just literally creating presentations. Sorry, did it lag there?
No, I heard you. I heard
Um,
you. You're fine.
Oh, fine. Yeah, so it's all like presentations that I'm creating, which is a lot of it is on Canva actually, because I have to collaborate with other people who write up the pitch decks.
Mhm.
Um, and I do a lot of like non-design work, like stuff like working on managing the website for the company and their Instagram as well. So creating posts for that, like random stuff like that, that isn't like, it's kind of design, but it's not for me. I'd rather be doing like branding work, which is why I put that brand identity first, because I don't want to do presentation design and I
Sure,
don't
yeah.
have client, yeah, and I don't have like client work for branding. So I don't know what your thoughts.
So it is, you can't avoid it, right? Like you have a full-time role, you're
Mm,
gonna have to speak about it at some point. But I think the opportunity with this full-time role is some of the things that you may look at as not design are still very
mm,
important, right? So managing the website, managing the
mm,
social media accounts, those are all still very important things that show that you're versatile. Because again, like you've done a great job designing this, and that has
mm-hmm,
shown me that you have taste and you have perspective, right? But you
mm,
still need to be able to talk about all those other things that you do as a full-time role, within a workplace setting. And so yeah, it may not be the fanciest or the prettiest or the sexiest kind of design or work,
mm-hmm.
but still there are responsibilities in there that help continue to speak to that experience of why you are a good candidate or good for X, Y, and Z role.
Okay. All right. I get you. So like I can just transfer those skills basically onto this.
Exactly.
Um,
Yes.
for the contents page, aside from like all the information about me, um, like just before the contents page, sorry, what do you think, how do you think I should present it? Is it more just like similar to a CV that I should include just before the contents page? Or is it like a condensed version of a CV?
I don't think you need a contents page one.
Oh,
I think you
okay.
can just for the projects, but like what you're getting at is like, should I have like a kind of like a condensed CV? Yes. And I'll show you
Okay.
really quickly. Let's see if I have one.
Let me stop sharing.
Let's see. Do I have an example? Why is my computer bugging right now? Jeez Louise. I need to shut this thing off. Um, let me see. Hiring stuff. Do I have a resume? Do I have a portfolio? I do have a portfolio. Okay. So here is one of them that I think I did. Hold on, let me pull up a different one.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah. So at times I would do stuff like this. I'll just share my whole screen.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
nice.
know I'm missing some sort of version. Now, I'm not saying this is the prettiest design. Like I was very Helvetica, everything. I don't care. But I needed the things to be important where it was like, here's my experience. Here are the 3 jobs that I've just that I just did that
Mm,
show that I have experience, that show that I've been working in, these kind of settings and things like that. And that I think is the most important takeaway. Um,
okay.
on the outside of that, did I have one here? Yeah, so no, I don't have, I'm missing like a couple portfolios in between this one and that one. But
Mm,
there was different variations of this. Like this is probably one of the older portfolios that I did, and
okay.
or one of the earliest ones when I was younger. And this
Mm-hmm.
kind of changed in layout and design. But at the end of the day, the most important thing was that like I wanted people to see immediately that I had worked 3 jobs or X amount of jobs before, and I had gotten experience, like real work experience. And that was the most important thing.
Okay.
And then after that, the work kind of spoke for itself,
Okay.
And so I think that's really important because, again, like you're saying, the market is competitive. It is not easy right now, especially because a lot of companies are looking for like the most bang for their buck, essentially, right? Like they're going to hire someone, they're going to spend a full salary on someone. They want to make sure that that person is going to be like, not only creative, but can handle this, with this, and this, and this, and this. And which you can do. Like you've basically just mentioned that, like, yeah, you're doing some design stuff, but you're also doing a lot of other stuff at your job. And I think that's really important. And then I would just kind of go into all of the other projects, this isn't the best example of presentation, but when I got to projects like this, or, when I kind of like molded over, I had like, I kind of looked at the presentation as a way to, as like, kind of like pacing, right? So like, here's a cover slide. And here's a little bit of information about the cover or about the project. And then you'd go in and again, like I know I had other variations of this portfolio that had a little bit more, like a little bit geared more towards where you're at right now of like trying to look for another job and had more description. This was like later on in my career where I could just kind of show like big flashy work and projects that I've done. But again, like at the end of the day, there was like this idea that like I'd have a cover slide, I'd give a little bit of background information about the project, and then I'd go into showing the work, right? Like, so this is kind of like, here's a little information about this project. Here's a little information about this project. Now, again, I want to be really clear. I'm not showing you this because I think you have to redesign your portfolio, like your presentation, your PDF that you just showed me. But I do think you could do a little bit better in terms of pacing, right? Because like you go from project to project to project to project, right? And it's really easy to just scroll through all that stuff. But when you just look at this on a screen and you go, okay, cool, there's some text and there's a big image and some images, blah, 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 blah. Oh, text and big image, like think of it as like someone who's just stupidly scrolling, and you want to just kind of break that a little bit, right? You want to give them a reason to kind of like pause for a second. And I think you can kind of just edit in or insert in a couple of title slides for your projects, and that'll give it that'll be a nice break in between to just slow people down while going through your work.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I think my portfolio actually definitely needs that because there's a lot of text. How do you feel about a lot of information? Or do you think it's more like you said, like break it down and like bit by bit, like couple sentences in each?
So I think like it's good to have text. It's good to be able to write and describe and articulate your work. That's great. The one thing that I started to notice, like after that first Etsy project, right, where you had like a bunch of slides, you had a bunch of images and stuff like that, as you got into the other projects, those pages, like the pages become fewer. You had like 3 projects or 3 pages for this project, or like I don't.
I think it's frozen.
Hey, sorry about that.
Hello. It's okay. I think I heard you until my portfolio goes into like fewer pages.
Yes. Every project doesn't have to have the same amount of pages, but it's still, it's nice to be in the same relative range, right? So I think on the presentations, these old presentations I had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 pages each, you know?
Okay.
And again, I was trying to think of like, how do I capture the most important pieces of this project or that project and distill that in some kind of information, while also speaking to the experience and like the other responsibilities that I have, right? And how do I do that with each project so that they all feel equally treated the same way, right? Like they each have the same attention to detail spent on them than the next project, no matter how unsexy it was in terms of design and how good it was, things like that. Like that's, I think, also really important, right? Like, sure, some of these projects may involve more work or less work, whatever. But I think it's still really important to treat them as they're all like super important, like every
Okay.
project has the same weight. Every project has the same like attention to detail. And every project has like that same level of articulation and description and all that stuff, because that's just going to show that you take every project, no matter what it is, the same way, whether
Okay.
how small it is, like you're going to do like this amazing job on it, no matter how big or small.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely like try and either like reduce the first one or bulk out the rest. Just so it's a bit more balanced, I guess.
Well, the
Um,
first one, I would say this, you have the first one, like that's your passion project, right? And that is the thing
yeah.
that like is exciting to show someone after you've shown them all the more like responsible and like more work focused stuff. So just put that one to the side for a second
Okay.
and then focus on the other 3 projects.
Okay. All right. Fine. Um, the chocolate bar is also a passion project. I don't know if that's like they're all basically passion projects except for the pitch deck that I created.
What
Um,
else can you potentially present? So like, again, it's the elephant in the room that you can't avoid. You have to speak about your work that you do currently, right? You have to speak about that role that you do. And it sounds like there's a number of things. There's not just like one big project that you work on there.
mhm.
And so perhaps, approach it in that way, kind of present it as like, this is what I do as my full-time role right now. My responsibilities are X, Y, and Z. Over the time that I've been there, over the 2 years I've been there, I've been able to work with artists in this, doing this, and this, right? And those are
Okay.
those are your 3 or 4 or 5 pages right there.
Okay. Um, how do you feel that kind of comes into my next question? This is a bit of like a controversial program that I use, which is Canva, but I kind of have to use it because um, other people need to be able to collaborate, and no one really knows how to use Adobe apart from me in the office.
So yeah.
Um, so most of the design is on Canva. I mean, I think it's pretty good, like most of it.
It's fine.
Um,
And like you
yeah.
said, it enables you to collaborate with other people. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At
Okay,
the end of the
fine.
day, it's like part of your job and my job as a graphic designer is to make things work. All right. Like we
Mhm.
need to like get business moving. We need to like make things to make business work. And so if that means creating assets in Canva so that other people can edit them, so be it. I had a client, one of
Okay.
my first freelance clients, when I first started freelancing, I literally worked in Canva 90% of the time. Like that's
Oh,
all we did.
really?
Yeah, it was, I was creating ads in Canva, I was creating video assets, I was creating social assets, all in Canva. The
Mm,
tools don't matter, the tools don't matter. It's your eye, it's your taste, it's your perspective. Those are the
mhm.
things that are most important. The tools change every day. There's going to be a new Figma out in 2 years, there's going to be a new
Mm.
Adobe out in 3 years. It doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's quite reassuring because I'm always like a bit embarrassed about it.
listen, again, you're not like, it's not about you, right? Like it doesn't matter like that you're not using Adobe every day, right? The end
Yeah.
result is what matters. How you got there doesn't matter.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's very true. Yeah, no, it's very true. Do you think I should include it in my like a bit about me, or like my CV, that I use it just to showcase that I can collaborate, and
So
like I can use different tools.
in terms of presenting, again, like, yes, you should absolutely showcase that you collaborate with others and and that you're collaborating with multiple people within your team, multiple people within the business. That's the most important piece. But the tool doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah,
Like it doesn't, it's not so much that like, oh, I'm collaborating with many people within Canva. No one cares about that part. The most
okay,
important part of that is that you are collaborating with multiple people within the business on different teams, and you're able to work with them in different settings and adjust as you need.
okay, all right. Okay, thank you so much for that. I'm trying to think of like other questions or like other things that I want to go through, but oh, um, can I show? Do we have time for me to show you my CV real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Or
Go for it. There's no rush.
okay, perfect.
The only thing is
Um,
I have terrible Wi-Fi, so we might have a, interruption at some point, but I have plenty of time.
okay, no, don't worry about the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to find it. Where is it gone? Um, just type in. I just had it. I don't know where it's gone. Okay. 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 So okay. So this is my CV, and
Mhm.
so when I started this, so this is where I'm currently at. Um, it was in 2021, right? And it was a startup. So they gave me this title, and I don't know if I'm overthinking it, right? But when I go in to apply for like junior roles at branding agencies, do you think they're put off by this and think like why is she applying to a junior role? Or does it not matter? Is it because this was a startup when I started, and again, like I'm the only designer there, so they kind of had to give me this sort of name title.
Mhm. So a few things. Um, I mean, listen, like changing the label of the role I've done it. I've done it many times. I don't think it's a big deal. It's me personally, like if you're seeing, I mean, I would just say put designer on there, just put
Okay,
graphic designer and see what happens. What's the
okay.
worst? Like at the end of the day, what are they going to do? Call that job and ask like, hey,
Mm.
is she a graphic designer or is she creative manager? Like that's not the big deal, right? What I will say with this though, a few things. I feel like this alignment is a little out of sorts here. We
Okay,
have we have like a center alignment, then we have two columns. There's a lot going on. Um,
okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and annotate. Let's see. Can I do that? Yes. Okay.
Do you want me to send it to you or
No, 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 no. Right here. I have it. So
Okay.
Things that I immediately see. You have a lot of negative space up here. You have a lot of negative space up here. And then you have like weird center alignment here for some reason. And then this is left aligned, like that already is just like messy. Right.
Okay.
So how do we kind of like clean this up a bit? Can we have the name up here? Do I need to know that you're a graphic designer? I'm assuming you're applying for this role for a reason. And I'm going to see that in your experiences here and stuff.
Okay.
The other thing that I would think about, I don't, and again, this is from my experience. I know the UK market might be different, but like for me, the thing I want to see first is experience. I want to see what you've been doing. I want to see why you are a great candidate for this. So things like skills, that goes below experience. Experience is the first thing that I want to see. Additionally, let me just clear these off really quick. Clear all my drawings. What does this say? Successfully designed a talent roster showcasing each individual's unique abilities and analytics to optimize talent selection. Design personalized pitch decks, tailoring each presentation to okay, so we are very specific on this stuff, and that's okay. I get why. But let's think of it in a slightly different way, right? So took charge of website management and sharing a seamless user experience. Drove significant growth, engagement. So you're there. You're thinking of like the most important thing, right? Like drove significant growth and engagement. You're there. Took charge of website management. That one's okay. These first two, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure, but you can kind of shift them a bit. So successfully design a talent roster, showcasing each individual's unique abilities and analytics to optimize talent. So this is about like presenting the artist in the best possible way, right? So designed, designed multiple, I don't want to say multiple because it's not even like it's not even about like how many times you've done it. It's just like the fact that you've done it for a lineup for a number of artists, for many different artists within the management company. So it's like design brand identities for Connect Management's lineup of artists to showcase and present their abilities to brands that like something like it's about like the fact that you are presenting and showcasing these artists in the best possible light to connect them with business opportunities. Like that's the thing. Design personal, and that's why I think like these first two are kind of the same. Design personal pitch decks, tailoring each presentation in line with talent, and just think of styles. Yeah, so like there's something about like designing unique identities for the variety of artists that Connect Management speaks to or works with, and using that design or using that ability to or leveraging that identity to then connect them with business opportunities and things like that, right? So like that's your one big note right there. Treasure website management, ensuring a seamless, adding fresh content, updating information, maintaining a cohesive visual brand identity. So this could just be like, this could be creating and managing like the website, like Connect Management website with new content and making sure everything is visually cohesive. Like you're there with that one. I would just wordsmith it. Again, we want to speak to like that. We want to make sure that like that main concept, like the most important part of that is the thing that punches first, right? Like drove significant growth and engagement. That's like right on the dot right there, right? Like, cause that's the point of social media. It's like you drove growth within the audience, or you increased audience growth, and if you put numbers behind it, that's even better. But like, I think what people end up doing a lot of the time when they touch or do any sort of design that deals with social media is like they focus on like the fact that they're creating visuals, like, yeah, of course you are, but like, what does that speak to? What is that doing for the business? You know, it's like encouraging growth, it's encouraging audience, it's growing brand awareness, like that. Those are the most important points about that.
Okay. Yeah,
And so you want to
definitely.
think of that in all of these. And the other note with this is that, like, me personally, I'd figure out, I'd start with this heading, like figure out a layout for this. Me personally, I'm not like a huge fan of like the big statement here. But figure out this layout that is a little bit more cohesive, that can help determine what the rest of these. So like, again, you have so much negative space here and so much negative space here. Like, can you maybe have this left aligned, have your details and information, like, you know, kind of spit out there, and then maybe like shorten this statement to like be up here somewhere, and then you can get right into experience, and maybe that's not going back and forth between two columns or something, you know, like there's a way that I think the amount of attention to detail that you put into your presentation, I think you can also spend a little time finessing on this as well.
Okay, no, definitely. I'm seeing it now, but it's good that like fresh eyes are on it because I wasn't seeing it before. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to work more on this layout because I'm seeing it now, like especially my number and then my email. It's just, it looks a bit odd over there. But yeah, do you think it matters that there's like a bit of space here, just
Yes.
under Residio? Okay.
Yes. I think, again, I think you could figure out a layout where you won't need, you won't have space like that, right?
Okay.
And again, I'll see if I can pull one of mine up, and I don't share this as in this is what you should do. I share this as simply as an example of how simple it can be. I'll go ahead and pull up, yeah. But like this was literally my resume. And again, it spoke to the big important parts. Now, some of this might not, I'm pretty sure some of this there's a lot of spelling errors here, but all of this is just a really like, here's my experience, boom. This is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I did. And then there was like the 2 or 3 sentences within what I was doing there, and that was it. And then like I had, this was skills section was like humor, was just like a funny, cheeky thing. And then I had my education, and that is how simple I kept my resume every time, because I just wanted it to be, I wanted them to scan it really quickly, you know? It's not overly designed. It doesn't have to be, super fan. I mean, it can. And again, like I think you have done a great job, like again, with your presentation, and you want to carry that over to your resume. That's fine. Absolutely. Go for it. But within all of that, like the layout, besides your color and your font choices and things like that, doesn't have to be crazy. You know, it could be one column, it can be simplified. You don't have to have the bullet points. You can do something that is a couple of sentences, things like that.
Okay, no, definitely. I am going to condense it more now that I've seen this. I think it's so interesting. I didn't realize, like, because they see a lot of CVs, so I just wanted it to be like slightly different, but I don't think they even care for that. Like they just want to see the information as quick as possible.
Yeah, and that's kind of the case too, because you got like, that's a good way to look at it. Whereas like, again, we before, it's like, I want my experience to be the first thing that they see. I want to grab them, because why that resume was built like that. It was just boom, here's my most recent job, the job after that, the job after that, the job after that, really quickly.
And you know, for the education bit, would you recommend putting like courses that I would have maybe like taken online after Shillington, because Shillington was like my last course that I did take. But if I was to like take some courses online, Do you think it's worth adding it in there?
Like what courses?
So I don't know, like, I don't know if you're familiar with the future, maybe.
Mhm.
I took like a grids layout course at some point, but I don't know if it wasn't like a huge course. Um, or like I did take a presentation course once, I think it was from them as well. But I don't know if it's worth adding those in because they're not huge.
No, I honestly like if it's not a big, if it's not a, and it's not so much the size of the course itself, but if it's not
Mm,
like a, I don't know how to phrase this, but like learning, taking a course on grids is not like something that you need to like explicitly say. It's good that you did that,
okay.
absolutely, but again, at the end of the day, like if I'm hiring someone, I'm looking more for the experience and I'm
Mm,
looking for their work to speak to that. So the
okay.
fact that you took a grid course or you took a presentation course should kind of show through in the quality of your work.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Fair
not
enough.
going to necessarily, because you've taken this online courses, there are a lot available and everyone can take them, and that's great.
Mm,
But at the same time, it's because that's an opportunity and it's available to everyone. It's not necessarily going to make you stand out. What is going to make you stand out more is your quality of work, and so that should show through in your work.
okay. Fair enough. No, that makes so much sense. Um, but yeah, I thank you so much for doing this and like looking over my portfolio with fresh eyes.
No worries.
Um, I don't know if I have any other questions. I'm trying to think. Um, I think, oh, one last question. Um, for website design, for website portfolio, I'm still in the process of creating, like transferring my PDF onto my website. Do you think it matters so much, or because I don't want to be wasting my time like applying to new jobs when they expect a website, like, or do you think it doesn't matter as much as well?
So whether you should spend time transferring your work from the PDF to your website.
Yeah, before I start applying.
Um, I mean, at the end of the day, like it just kind of depends. Like, I don't know what the situation is right now in terms of like how you apply. So like if they're asking you to send the PDF or they're asking you to send a link, something like that. I can tell you that like when I did apply for jobs, my presentation was the thing that they were looking at every time that was deciding whether or not they wanted to speak with me. The website was just a link that they could click and learn more about, but the presentation is what got my foot in the door.
Okay, fine.
And so
So,
I put a lot more emphasis on that, for me at least.
okay, fine. So, okay. So I wouldn't like, it's not like a deal breaker that I haven't worked on my website just yet or like
No,
refreshed it.
and I think it's fine. Like if you like I don't talk enough about presentations, and I think
Mm,
I still think they're like one of the more important tools. Like having a solid presentation set and ready to go. Uh, like it's because it's more tailored. Like it's more intentional. It's showing people what you want them to look at to judge your work on, right? And so you're showing them the best projects, you're showing them how you can articulate that work, you're showing them, you're describing your work, all of that stuff. Like it's very intentional, and that is what you want them to kind of make their decision on. Whereas a website, like they can go and navigate however they want. They can make the
mm,
they can click on anything and everything. And so
mhm.
I still think it's really important. So and honestly, you're because you're younger and you're starting to look, I'd still continue to emphasize the presentation over the website for sure.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, thank you so much for that. I'm definitely going to be continue working on this and the CV as well. I don't want to take up too much more time. So I
No worries.
really
I'm sorry
appreciate
this is
this.
so early.
No, it's fine.
I'm very, very sorry that this is so early in the morning. I hope you get some sleep, some rest before you have to actually wake up today. And if you have any
Yeah,
questions,
I
you have my
will.
email. You can
Oh, thank
email
you.
me anytime. And you know, you'll get like you'll get an email from me after this review sometime later in the day. Don't worry about it. Go to bed. With just a few questions, and it'll let me know where I should send the notes and the recording for this review. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will definitely be getting some sleep after this.
Yes, yes. It was lovely to
But
meet you,
yeah,
Tara.
thank you. So nice meeting you. And I'm gonna
Keep me
continue
posted.
following. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely message in.
How,
But yeah.
stay in touch and have a good start to your day.
I will do. Thank you so much. Have a
Cheers.
good
Have a good one.
evening.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.